time to have some fun now.
Gentlemen,
You can sense the air of excitement in the people.
Welterweight title. Challenger in the red corner. I'll tell you a bit about him. He stands 5 feet 11 inches tall. Weighs in at 147.5 pounds. He has a record of 16 wins and 2 losses. In this same arena in November 1987, he won the Kick North American welterweight title with unanimous decision over Chris Samples. Mark has had an outstanding amateur record and is now making his bid for the world title. Let's hear a huge welcome for Mark Hermiston!
The people are really excited, Jeff. Oh, I believe we're in store for an excellent fight tonight. Mark, he's looking fitter than I've ever seen him before. I've worked with him over the years, and he's looking sharper and looking more confident than ever before.
He's definitely worked hard for this fight. He's ready for it in every sense.
And here comes Jimmy Blann now. They're playing his music. Jimmy, I know he wants to hold on to that title. He's worked hard for it, and he's coming here to go home with it again. So we're in store for some action tonight.
He's a tough man.
And here comes Jimmy Blann now. In his yellow outfit, got world champ written on the back, and looking flashy.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the blue corner, this is his first title defense.
It's already evident that Mark will definitely have the height and reach advantage.
That's definitely so. Mark
inches tall.
is going to have a definite reach advantage. And Mark is going to be using this tonight to his advantage. And Jimmy's going to have to try to come in on that reach.
World welterweight champion, Jimmy the Jet Blann.
Excellent welcome for Jimmy Blann from South Haven, Mississippi.
Well, the Kamloops crowd's used to good fights, and they appreciate a man who comes up here to fight.
That's right. It's one thing I can say
2-minute rounds.
about Kamloops is that they treat the competitors good. They give them respect that they deserve.
The referee will be on lead.
They're now being gloved up. They glove up in the ring for title fights so that they can see that they're new gloves, brand new pair of gloves, never been used before, part of the ruling. And this way is safety for each competitor. And again, showing the professionalism that is in the sport. At the ringside, we have a doctor who watches over constantly. If he sees that there needs to be stopped to check a fighter for an injury, he'll stop and do that. And that's good. And I really appreciate how the kickboxing is going in the area, that they're really stepping out to add professionalism. And I really believe it's going to draw more limelight to the sport.
Oh yeah, it's important to look after the fighters as well when they're out there. It's a dangerous sport, or it can be. Mark seems pretty loose, smiling, having fun.
Barry Adkins, the coach, my former coach and coach of Mark Hermiston. He's been busy tonight, jumping in and out of the ring, and but you can see the work that this man has put into his competitors. Constantly doing well, constantly excelling in the sport, and it's not just a coincidence anymore when you see it over and over again over a period of years. And Barry Adkins has really proven himself to be a coach throughout the world to really stand out and to be respected.
Worldwide respect in that manner.
Jimmy Blann's coach is his brother, Ken. Had a chance to talk with Jimmy and Ken, and they're really excited to come down here. It's the first time Jimmy's been in this part of Canada, and so I know he wants to leave an impact here, and they're getting ready to get started right now, just finishing gloving up Jimmy.
Well, he definitely didn't come all this way to lose.
That's right.
He'd be in there for 12 rounds if he has to.
The audience now is getting excited, and they're chanting out Mark, 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 and I can almost sense the adrenaline flowing in Mark. I talked to Mark earlier tonight, and he said he wanted to get in the ring then, he didn't want to wait.
Kind of reminds me of when you fought Ishmael Robles the first time for the title here in Kamloops.
Yeah, I can remember
a lot of crowd excitement.
I was in the change room, and I could hear people stomping on the floor above me, and it was exciting. They're just getting ready now to come together in the center of the ring. This was always a time for myself to be able to look at my opponent closely and see, look them in the eyes, and that's exactly what Mark is doing. Jimmy is not really looking at him, but Mark is giving him the eye right now and checking things over. And a lot of times you can see where your opponent is. So getting ready to get started now. Both men are primed. And we're ready for an exciting fight tonight. They're going to start feeling each other out right now, Dev, just to see exactly where each other's at. They've never fought each other before. Mark's had a chance to see a film of Jimmy fighting myself a year ago. Jimmy brings Mark down with a leg sweep. No harm to Mark, but again, feeling each other out, checking each other out, and they're going to find what works consistently, and they're going to start to zero in on that.
Now Mark's going to have to establish his distance and keep Jimmy on the outside, where Mark's going to be the more effective fighter.
That's correct. Jimmy is right now just trying to stay in close, which he has to do, and try to get in on the inside, feel him out, and Mark is just sitting back, looking around, seeing where he can put in some kicks and some punches. The whipping nail punch, again, can be a devastating punch when lands, so Mark's going to have to keep his hands up on those. Jimmy does use those. He's tried to use them on me a few times. Oh, Jimmy landed, but Mark countered with a right. There's Jimmy landing a right hand, not doing any harm, no. Front kicks coming in, Mark coming in with a round kick. Jimmy with side kick, we're countering. I believe, Deb, we're going to have lots of action right from the
looks
start
like these
there.
two are here to fight right from round one.
There's Jimmy trying to come in with the left hook, not doing much with it. There, Jimmy trying the leg sweep again. Oh, Mark landed a right hand. I feel really important right now for Mark to establish respect, to land some good shots, to keep Jimmy knowing that he can't just go in and do what he wants. And if he can do that in the first round, that's going to help to set the pace for the fight. And Jimmy is going to be trying to set the same thing. That's the end of round one, Deb.
That was a very nice round.
Lots of action. Each person getting in some shots. No one really hurting each other, but I believe right now what they're trying to do is establish respect and find out where each person's going to be at. And I believe if the pace starts out like this and it continues, we're going to see some fast-paced action coming up here.
Okay, here's some slow-mo of that round one action here.
Mark, there he landed a right hand, and then stepping back out. See, I see that being the key for Mark, is doing exactly what he did there, is to get a shot in, step back out, get that distance. So he's not going to give Jimmy a chance to counter.
Mark has a reputation as being a very in-and-out type of fighter.
That's correct.
Draws his opponent off balance and then comes back in and counters right away.
There's Jimmy in his corner right now, getting ready to start the next round. Looking fresh, no wear and tear on either person. Jimmy putting in his quick side kicks. Those can be really effective to keep the person at a distance. Mark nailing a landing punch. Jimmy just missed it with a whipping nail punch.
And I think we can see the reach advantage Mark has on those.
Excellent round kick by Mark. Mark definitely has a reach. And that's when Jimmy lands a right hand, seeing the stun, and he lands another punch. Mark getting the kick in. Each of the fighters, Dev, should be aiming to get in that 8-kick requirement. Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, shouldn't be much of a problem with that at competitors at this level.
Again, just as you were saying, the competitors, they're used to kicking. That's where it's really entertaining to the people. Lots of action.
Jimmy trying to shake
hook.
off that last kick by Mark, saying it didn't hurt.
Usually when they say it doesn't hurt, a lot of times that has affected him away. There's Jimmy trying to go into the body, and that's something that he has to, coming to the body and going to the head. Jimmy needs to be doing that lot to be effective against Mark. Mark trying to put the pressure on right now, being fairly effective with it. Jimmy looking calm. I see Jimmy trying to set up, trying to land that right hand. His last match against Chris Samples, he took Chris out in the 4th round, so I see him very much trying to do that, trying to land those solid punches. Now they got a whip and nail punch, but Mark is getting in his.
Mark staying very busy.
Each fighter looking at himself, trying to feel each other out, looking for those openings, putting in the kicks. Another punch. I see Jimmy throwing a lot of whipping nail punches.
Yeah.
And just as the last fight we've seen, the fighter always has to keep his hands up, because a lot of times those can come in out of nowhere, and those can make a difference between a winning and losing the fight, or really changing the pace.
Yeah,
so,
we saw that with that last fight.
So, yes, we're going to have a replay right now, and there's Jimmy just missing with his right cross. Mark coming in, and Jimmy stopping Mark's attack with the side kick. Mark putting his front kick. Seeing Mark has such long reach,
Yeah.
he should be using that often. Going to the body of Mark is, getting him back, and both throwing punches and missing. There Jimmy lands one to Mark's chin, but not really doing any harm. Didn't have a lot of power on it. Actually, I see they have two fighters really thinking their way through this fight.
Definitely,
and again,
yeah. Both very thinking fighters.
Showing that they are professionals, that they are world-class competitors. Again, Jimmy using those side kicks. I remember Jimmy used those against me quite a bit, trying to keep me at a distance, and they're really effective. Mark using his front kick. Again, there's that whipping nail kick. If anything, the pace is slowed down just a little bit where the fighters are thinking. Landing a punch, Mark landing a punch. There's Jimmy coming in low. Mark pushing him down. Good move by Mark, but Jimmy came in just a sidestep, moved him off to the side. It puts tension on the other fighter where it tires them out. Mark has the reach, and he should be trying to use that as much as possible. Each fighter throwing kicks. Punch coming in. There's Jimmy going to the body. Not too much power though, Jeff. Mark countering with the right round kick.
Jimmy's almost too extended when he goes to the body shot.
He needs to get himself back again. Leaves himself open. But still doing very well.
Well, Tom, you know from experience that this man will be in there for 12 rounds, no matter what's happening.
That's right. He has heart. He has heart. And he's going to be there when it gets into the end round. Mark is going to be moving into new territory here. So he's done a number of rounds, but he's never done 12 rounds. So this is going to be going into new territory. But Mark, from talking to his coach, has done a lot of training, been doing sparring 10 rounds. And I believe he's ready for a long fight if it has to go. Fighters, getting the audience, getting excited, seeing the action, they're being entertained. And that's the end of the round.
Oh, the last bit of that round, Jimmy had trouble landing. Mark seemed to be staying on the outside really well and picking his shots.
I see just what you're saying is that Mark is starting now to find the distance. And it usually takes a couple rounds. So he's finding a distance, setting him back, so it's going to make Jimmy more ineffective. And that's where Mark wants to be. His power is out of Jimmy's reach, and he needs to be there. So if Jimmy gets in close, Mark is going to start to lose power. So I believe Barry right now is telling them that keep your distance, do what you're doing. You're doing a good job, Mark. You're scoring points. You're setting them up, and Jimmy's starting to be more ineffective. And so if he keeps that plan up, I see Jimmy's coach trying to encourage him to keep up what you're doing, but you got to close the distance. You got to be scoring points all the time. You can't afford to let one fighter get more points over a period of time because those points add up.
It was the plan that if Jimmy didn't take the fight to Mark from the very beginning, that Mark would be a world champion at the end of this bout.
That's correct. They're starting now, round 4. There's Jimmy landing a right cross, getting in close.
Okay. Mark just staying out there, picking him off as he comes in.
There's Mark. You see Mark Mark Deb is picking up more pressure, being a little bit more pressure, and he needs to do that. He needs to prove to the judges. It needs to be a clear decision that he is keeping a good pace, he's putting the pressure on, and he's there all the time.
Now, they don't give you a world title, you got to take it from the other guy.
That's right. If it's going to be a decision, it's going to go back to Jimmy. So Mark has to clearly show that he has been the aggressor, he scored more, and that he is a superior fighter. They're in close. Mark countering right away.
Mark's landing much harder kicks this round than in the previous one.
That's correct. There's the right cross. But I don't see that being too effective on Mark at this point. Mark landing the round kicks. Mark has been landing with the round kicks very consistently on that right side. It'll be interesting to see if it goes into later rounds, what kind of effect that'll have on Jimmy. But I know from him going to 12 rounds, I landed many kicks, and he withstood the pressure. But you can only take so much, and it's going to take fight out of you. Oh, there's a hard whipping nail punch landing on Mark's head. But Mark's smiling. Mark's smiling. You know, I see that one as being a sign of a champion. You get hit, you don't show much about it, you just acknowledge it, give a big smile, and go right back in there.
Mark's got a very business look on his face. You know,
That's
he's
right.
out there and he knows what he's doing.
I like how you said that, Deb. A businessman. He's there to do his business right now.
He got a job.
Jimmy coming in, doubling up his punches, going to the body and then to the head. There's the end of round 4. I see Jimmy landed a couple good solid punches, but Mark was very busy. Mark landed some good. You know, you see one doing one thing, but then the other countering. It's being very close right now. I really find it hard to say one is ahead of the other.
It's still hard to say who, if anyone, has the upper hand.
We're going to go back to a replay right now, Dev. And
there's that spinning back fist that Jimmy landed on Mark.
There's a smile on Mark's face. Again, those whipping nail punches, Mark needs to keep his hands up because they can take a lot out of you. And if you get too many of those, that can be the end of your fight.
It only takes one of those to get through.
Jimmy is a smart fighter. He's been around for a lot of years in kickboxing, and he knows what can affect a fighter and what can't affect a fighter. And he's going to find what's landing, Deb, and he's going to try to be consistent with that. Here we go, starting round 5. Mark starting off right away with a kick, and I believe, again, Deb, Mark needs to do that. He needs to right away establish points, and he needs to establish to Jimmy that he's there to fight. There was a low blow.
Got to establish the tempo of the round.
There was a low blow to Jimmy Blann, but not affecting him to just continue to fight. Oh, again, very good technique. A lower leg sweep counter with the left hook. They're both of them countering back and forth.
Those leg sweeps might be worth commenting on. They're in themselves not a very effective punch, but they do set you up for other ones, and
definitely, and actually
are very awkward when you have to think about them all the time.
Over a period, there's another whipping nail punch and a right cross for Jimmy Blann. The leg sweep, what can happen over a period of time, they can start to cramp up and be consistently lands on the legs. So it should be interesting to see. I don't see a lot of leg kicks to the thighs here. In fact, I don't think this fight they're allowed leg kicks to the thighs. So that's been solved up. There is no leg kicks to the thighs, but they're allowed to do leg sweeps, more to set up punches. Mark was knocked down. They're more by a slip than anything else. Mark throwing a smile again at Jimmy. There's the Jimmy again trying to go to the leg. Mark needs to be constantly sticking that left jab out because he's got lots of reach, and it forces Jimmy to deal with that all the time. It will always kind of stop him short in his game plan to move forward. Again, there's another whipping nail punch, but missing. Mark is starting now to tune in, kind of radar in on those whipping nail punches. In fact, if Mark can start to counter on those, he can be really effective. Again, Jimmy putting in a front kick, Mark round kick. Jimmy coming in close. And
both of these fighters just countering each other after every attack.
I see what Mark needs to do, and I'm just watching what Jimmy's trying to do here right now. If Jimmy starts to get Mark against the ropes, Mark needs to command the center of the ring. That's his territory. He's the man with the reach. He's the one that moves and does the side lateral movement. He needs to keep out in the center. We're going to go into an instant replay now and just look at some of the action and see what some of the fighters are doing here. There's a front kick, nice extension, not really doing much though, but keep Mark at a distance. Mark landed a round kick again, but Jimmy coming with the left. Jimmy coming in, landed a short right. Again, those can start to add up if you're getting a lot of those in over a period of time. But in itself, not a lot of power in those punches at this point.
Both men still looking fresh.
I see what happens, Dev, is that each person needs to establish their game plan and stick to it, because it may take 6 rounds, 7 rounds, it may even take 8, 10 rounds before you start to see the result.
Yeah.
And if that person can stick to their game plan, a lot of times will be the person that will come out on top. There's Mark coming in, right round kick and a left round kick. Mark being very active with his round kicks, Dev. Another round kick.
Yeah, it's that right round kick is coming in very hard now.
Putting punches in, not having really an effect right now, just hitting the arms. Round kick, but again, just hitting the shoulder. I see Jimmy has to get in close, and he's having a little bit of trouble on the distance right now, Dev.
He's trying to charge in a little sometimes and gets himself off balance.
It can be dangerous to him because Mark just has to capitalize on one time. They're in close. Mark got an uppercut and a little bit of a left hook in there. So Mark, again, get that left jab going. That's going to be really effective against him. Again, both people landing there. Put it in the left leg round, the side kick, but not really doing much. Keeping distance. There's a in close fighting. Missing a lot with the punches, both fighters. There's a round kick by Jimmy.
Come on.
Again, that round kick by Mark. I just seen that if he can be consistent at one spot over and over again, that can start to time. And then a left hook by Mark to the chin of Jimmy.
That brought Jimmy's hand up right away.
Yeah. A lot of times you need a little reminder like that.
Mark is definitely proving his effectiveness outside.
Yeah. One thing is Jimmy's good solid punches. Mark has landed some good punches. Back leg front kick, finishing off it. Good finish by Mark Hermiston.
That was a nice piece of inside fighting from Mark. Got the better hand on Jimmy Blann.
How's the end of round 6? Halfway through now. At this point in time, you can start to see some things happening. Seeing Mark is being a little bit more effective. The crowd is behind Mark now. That can be a real charge up for Mark. We're going to go back and take a look there right now to replay. There's a left hook landing by Jimmy. Right cross missing. There's Mark going down. Nice move by Mark. He bobbed down, come up, uppercut, and then to the chin. He came over. Left jab, right cross.
Yeah, Mark stepping just outside enough.
Oh, there's Mark coming in again. Mark is starting to step in and counter on Jimmy's attacks, and he's being very effective with
Good extension on that front kick as well.
But Mark can just start to land a little bit more solid. You're going to start to see some effect take place there. Nice round kick again by Mark. Mark looking very calm. Just in there doing his game plan, doing his work. I believe his coach, Barry Atkins, is very pleased.
Now there doesn't seem to be too much concern from the corners at this point.
No, looking over at...
Oh, nice piece of counter punching from Mark. Oh, beautiful right now.
Mark is starting to land those. It's good. It needs to... Mark being warned to keep his kicks up. Mark starting to land those more consistently, Jeff. I can see him thinking, I believe that's what his coach has told him. Look to get those right crosses in. Look to set up your hands. Nice left hook. Jimmy is not just going to walk away with this, Deb. He's going to have to work for it.
Well, he said he came up here and he knew this guy was tough, and I think he's found out how tough Mark is.
That's right. I believe both fighters have respect for each other. They know they can't just go in there and throw anything out there, that they have to be wise, they have to keep the hands up, and they got to be thinking all the time.
Oh yeah, at this level of competition, it's foolish to be disrespectful for anybody.
There, another punch landed on Martin this time. There's Jimmy
Nice short
coming in.
right.
Jimmy is starting to come in close, and that's what he needs to do. Jimmy has Mark against the ropes, tying him up. Mark putting in punches. Mark doing a wise move, moving away, trying to come in with a whipping nail punch, a whipping back kick. Mark got Jimmy in the corner now, trade places with him, and that's what Mark wants to keep on. Mark thinks he's getting up a cut. They're picking on each other now. There's Jimmy leaning in. Nice fighting, putting on an excellent show, getting in close, and then moving out. Mark getting that right crossing, and that's the end of round 7.
That was a nice move out of the corner by Mark.
Yeah, excellent move. Both fighters looking good this round. Mark, I would have to say, I would give the edge to Mark in this round.
Yeah, he's looking really relaxed now. We're coming up with some more replay action on that last round.
They did a lot of in-close fighting on this one, Dad. There's Jimmy coming in on the body. He needs to be doing lots of that.
I think
Mark moving really well. Mark moving really well. I'm really impressed, actually, with Mark's moves. He's positioned himself. He's moving his body. He's not just being a sitting target.
seems to be even more relaxed now than when we started the fight.
That's right.
He's really getting into a groove.
And a lot of times you need that just to get the edge off because you're excited about the match. And you need to get that to wear it out. And I believe Mark is feeling at home now. He's getting into the flow of things. And I believe Mark is feeling good.
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy is being, he's being steady. I almost sense a little bit of puzzlement, just trying to get in a little bit closer to him. And he's having a little bit of trouble closing that distance.
Having trouble getting through that distance that Mark has on him.
One of the errors there that you can do is you look at how the fighters are breathing, and I see Mark being very relaxed. There's Jimmy moving in, got Mark against the ropes. Mark slipping away nice.
Still smiling.
You watch the breathing, Dad, and what you're seeing is that Mark is just pretty well how he was when he started. I see Jimmy taking more breaths with his mouth right now, and it's nothing really significant at this point in time, but it'll be interesting to see what happens as we go on in the later rounds. They're picking each other off, putting a punch in. Mark's
nice
left jabs. Nice round kick. That's what Mark needs to be doing, scoring steadily. He has to be doing that to show that clear decision at the end if it goes that far. Jimmy got hit by a right hand. They're
telling Jimmy to get his kicks up a little higher.
Jimmy got hit by a right hand. They're saying, no, didn't bother me. Jimmy, or I should say Mark, get another kick in.
Looks like Jimmy might be getting a little frustrated. He's
could be a little bit tired too, having trouble getting his kicks up. I found when I was fighting Jimmy that his kicks were not a big threat to me. There's Mark moving really well. As Jimmy comes in, Mark just moves back, gives the distance, and able to cause a punch all the time.
Even when Jimmy's charging Mark in the corners and stuff, Mark's still composed and doing his job.
There, nice punches by Mark. Left, right by Mark, and a right round kick. Scoring.
Looks like a little bit of frustration there from Jimmy Blann.
I sense that too, Jeff. What Jimmy needs to do is just keep his game plan. They may have to make some changes, not to let himself get frustrated, because then he can start to make mistakes. We're getting ready to start round 9. This is as far as Mark has ever gone, Dev.
Yeah.
Chris Samples, he went 9 rounds with him. So interesting to see. But you look at Mark, he's looking fresh. He doesn't look tired. He doesn't look any worse wear. No bruises or abrasions whatsoever. Jimmy, because he's having to close that distance, you can see that he's getting tired. He is getting hit. They're both taking their shots, but I see Jimmy being more the worse wear, a little bit more tired. Like you said earlier, being a little bit frustrated. I believe what Barry Atkins is saying to Mark Hermiston right now is keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
it's working. No, you're changing your game plan. Mark smiling a little bit. Another round kick. That round kick going in steady. Jimmy needs to be coming in closer, Jeff. He's got to start to move in. He's got
Well, he's going to have to be coming off those kicks he's throwing and doing something.
Even if the kicks may not be hurting him, what they're doing is they're gathering up points. And that is going to be a major factor as we get into the end round.
We just saw Mark land a round kick on Jimmy, and Jimmy waved it off again.
Jimmy is lunging a little bit, and again, that frustration can become. He's trying to close that distance.
Some redness on Jimmy's face, up on his cheekbones, and
he's been getting hit. There's Mark, very intent on what he's doing. He's looking in. You know, Deb, I looked at his eyes, and it sounds cliche, but I see the eyes of the tiger in Mark.
Oh, yeah, definitely in Mark.
Jimmy is not giving up. Hey, Jimmy's there. And
Jimmy's going to have to be a little more busier in this. He's standing there right where Mark wants him all the time.
Good fight for the hometown crowd.
Oh, they're
lots
enjoying
of action. Both fighters are showing themselves well. Mark landed another right hand. Mark trying to turn it back in. And there's Jimmy now trying to put on pressure. He needs to put lots of that on.
Those back kicks are always a sign that Mark's having a good time.
That's right. Looks good to the judges. And the end of the round. You know, Jeff, I see a really important point here, and then what a fighter needs to do. You're not only in there fighting your opponent, but you're also performing for the judges.
For the judges, yeah.
So you got two different things. You need to look good, and you need to go in there and be effective. And Mark is looking good right now. Those turning back kicks are always good signs, especially later in the fight, because it shows the freshness of the fighter, it shows the sharpness of him, and it'll help just to get a little bit of edge. If the judges are looking, which way should I go, that may be the clincher. We're going to go to a replay now.
You can see that Jimmy's activity in that last round was a definite advantage to Mark. Giving Mark plenty of opportunity to set himself up.
Mark looking, as I was saying, very intense in what he's doing. He's here to win the title. He's here to do all that work he's put in over the years. He's here now to make it pay off. The crowd getting excited, and the fighters are starting round 10. Deb, I'm really impressed with Mark Hermiston on his intent to go out there and be busy. And not just be busy, but be effective.
They said their game plan well before this fight, and Mark stuck to it every inch of the way so far.
There, Mark got hit. That is a sign of a good team, of a coach and a fighter, is to be able to stick to a game plan and work on it together, Jeff. Having a timeout. I'm not sure why. We'll have a look here very quickly.
Now the tape on Mark's boots come loose. They're going to retape that.
The idea of that is for the safety of both competitors, so that you don't have any loose objects going into the eyes of either competitor. And again, above all, safety of the competitors, and to be able to keep a high quality in the sport is one of the main things that we are constantly trying to do in kickboxing. And they're starting. Jimmy lands with it with the right hand.
Well, Jimmy's not winning any fans when he gets Mark in those headlocks, but
no. Both in there doing action. There's Jimmy lands a bunch, of Mark is landing back.
Both fighters landed some good punches in that exchange.
Both counters. There's Mark trying to get in there. Jimmy is putting pressure on, but Mark's tying him up pretty well. Doing a good job. This is where the endurance is going to start to toll on him, Jeff. When they start getting in close and start to wrestle around with each other.
I think Jimmy Jimmy's realized it's pretty late in the fight, and he's going to have to pull something out of his hat now.
I believe his coach has told him, Jimmy, you got to go in there. You got to do something in his next few rounds. You got to make it look good. And that's what Jimmy's going to try to do. Jimmy getting a right hand right on his head.
And some more.
Mark is landing some nice punches there. Mark thinking, looking to get uppercuts and those round kicks again. Now the round kick. Left or right hook, but not really being effective by Jimmy Blann. Mark being really consistent, smiling. Mark is looking good there.
Yeah, very good. You know, if it goes on like this, it's going to be Jimmy Blann trying to fight to save his title. And,
that's right. In fact, you know, we only got 2 rounds left, and right now, I see a slight edge given to Mark. It can go. The reason why I'm saying a slight edge is because, again, Jimmy has that title, and there has to really be a clear difference there. But I believe Mark has really shown himself well. He's gained the respect. Here is a replay.
a lot of Jimmy's punches landing up on Mark's back and shoulders, and
that's
not
right.
really getting through.
Mark really tying Jimmy up well in close. Look at very calm on his face, not getting excited.
Not wrestling with him and burning extra energy
That's
either.
Right. A sign of a wise fighter, and again, I would have to say a sign of a champion. Both fighters looking fit. I see Mark being a little bit better condition right now, Deb. Jimmy breathing a little bit harder, looking a little bit more fatigued. And what happens when a fighter, Deb, sees the other fighter getting fatigued, even though you may be tired, it gives you that extra adrenaline, and you start to put on pressure. Mark landing kicks consistently. Some of them not really putting a lot of impact in, but yet still throwing
Well,
points.
Jimmy hasn't done anything of any substance yet.
That's right.
So there's a right hand by Jimmy, but
Jimmy's kicks aren't really that effective. He's out there more scoring points, not really having any power. Mark definitely has more power in his kicks. Now, hold on, a body
short
right,
right.
and then a nice short right by Mark Hermiston. Mark looking good.
He's looking
Yeah,
really
looking
calm.
really good.
Still calm. Still thinking out there.
Right cross by Mark. Mark is thinking. You can see he sees it open and he lashes out at it. He's being very, very fast with his hands. Mark moving nice. Looking good. Jabbing and circling away from his opponent. He's using that reset we talked about at the first of the fight, Deb.
This is really reminds me of that fight with Ishmael when you settled into a groove near the end of the fight and everything was working just the way you wanted it to. Seems to be where Mark is now.
That's right. And hey, if you're doing something good, you don't change it. You just keep at it, and you can feel the confidence building inside you. And I sense that right now. There's a confidence building in Mark Hermiston. There's Jimmy, though, coming back.
And Mark's still smiling.
Yeah, Mark's smiling. That's one thing that you can't do. You can't take things for granted. And the end of that round. And Mark holding up his hand.
He feels good now.
That's right.
He knows he's got this if he keeps it up.
And we're coming to the end
final
of
round.
You know, Deb, I'll tell you, like Mark is in the lead. I have a sense right now. And he's looking sharper. He's been scoring. And Jimmy, what he needs to do this round, he needs to make up some ground that he's lost. And it's a tough way to make up ground when you got to do it in your last round.
You know, Jimmy's only chance might be, depending on how the judges are seeing the fight, as a knockout at this point.
That's right. And Mark looking at his corner, he's got a smile on his face. He put up his hands when he went to the corner at the end of round 11. And Mark senses that belt coming to him. And unless Jimmy makes some changes, we could have another world champion in Kamloops.
Okay, here we go for round 12.
This is going to be an exciting round because Jimmy can't hold back.
Jimmy's going to have to bring the fight to
Gotta
Mark.
go for it.
He's going to have to stay on him.
Mark, he's going to be busy. He's going to keep going, and Mark is in the flow of things right now. Jimmy's got to be busy. He can't rest. He can't
Mark's
rest.
still moving around nice.
Mark keeping that distance, Deb. That's what he needs to do. He keeps that distance, and he's got this fight.
Well, moving out of the way well. Coming back and countering on Jimmy.
I'm looking at the coach, Barry Adkins. Barry's looking
Got a bit of a smile on his face himself.
Mark has got that eye on him, and he is, I can see it, Deb. I've seen that many times.
Yeah.
I felt that. It's like, it's working, it's mine, and I'm not going to lose it now. It's too close. Jimmy has got to be busy. He's got to go in there. He's got to get some solid shots.
Big breath taken by Jimmy there.
Nice round kick by Mark Hermiston to the midsection. At this point in time, those can take a lot out of a fighter. There's one
Good right hand, Jim.
Another right hand by Jimmy Blann. Both trading punches.
They're both going to go out fighting. That's for
They're
sure.
looking good. It's going to be a good fight. Oh, right hand by Jimmy Blann. Another right hand. But Mark's smiling.
Mark's smiling at him.
That's what Jimmy's got to be doing, Deb.
Yeah.
Mark has got to be landing. And he knows that. He's trying to throw those bars.
Jimmy's trying to take him out right away.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy realizes that's his only chance at this point is a knockout.
Mark needs
Mark
to
staying outside, using his jab, front kicking.
Jimmy's got to keep the pressure on, Deb. Has no choice. He's got to score his
I
points.
think we're down to less than 30 seconds in this round.
This is it. And there it is. There it is.
A tremendous fight from these two.
Deb, unless I see a swing over by the judges, I think we have a new world
I
champion.
think so too, Mark. And I think everyone here would agree with you. They're all standing on their feet.
They're getting excited.
Mark feels great. I think he knows he won this fight.
Mark going over, congratulating Jimmy Blann. The Kamloops corner is looking excited. They feel like Mark is taking it. I would have to agree with that right now, Dev. Jimmy's corner, they don't look too excited right now.
No,
And I think that's good reason.
We'll look at some more of the action from that last round.
A lot of action in this last round, Dev. Each person trying to be busy. Jimmy knew he had to make up some ground here. He had no choice because he was behind in points. Mark doing a good job to keep him busy, scoring points steadily, being consistent.
That was a good effort by Jimmy, but he should have probably started that a little earlier.
Yeah, again, as we were talking at the first, Jimmy had to be busy from the very first. You have to, a shorter fighter, you got to be busy, you got to be putting the pressure on, you got to make your fighter work.
Mark's up there, Mark's happy.
The judges could look at that as giving him the favor, and sometimes that may be. And I will say rightfully so that the champion does have to clearly be beat before it goes to the other side. Both fighters deserve a lot of respect. Hard work. They've put, people look at just putting a couple months in, but I know from my past experience, I see the fighters putting in years and years.
Oh, definitely. It takes
work.
years to just get to this level.
Because it wasn't just this one, but it was from the very first time they stepped into the gym until now. And they deserve respect. Both men worked hard. I have a lot of respect for Jimmy Blann. He's a born-again Christian and not afraid to speak out. We have a new world champion.
I think so.
We do. And definitely, right now, a new world
Judge
champion.
Jerry Jonko scores it 119-113. Judge Dale Floyd scores it 117-113.
Clearly, Mark Hermiston is a new world
I think
champion.
so. He looks
We're
pretty
just waiting now for the official. Then we can say that we do have a world champion. And here he is, Mark Hermiston, new world champion, new world welterweight kickboxing champion of the world.
And the crowd is just going wild.
The opportunity to have two world champions in the same weight class over a short period of time is very rare. And I believe not only class towards Mark Hermiston and towards Cameron, but respect towards the coach, Barry Atkins, who shows us consistency and